in this session, let us design a data pipeline, a simple data pipeline. I'm going to demonstrate and explain you guys how we can design a simple pipeline system, okay, in ALU. So we'll call it as a data pipeline because we are going to implement the pipelining approach within the ALU. Hence, we are going to call it as a data pipeline. Let us design a data pipeline. Before designing the pipeline, now let us take an instruction. The instruction that we need to execute is A into B plus C. That is AI into BI plus CI, where I is equal to 1 to 7. You can clearly see that there are 7 instructions because I value will be given for 7 times. So there are a total of 7 instructions needed to be executed. Now, before we designing the pipeline, let us understand how many clock cycles that are required to execute these 7 instructions in a non-pipeline ALU. Let us say this is non-pipeline ALU. Okay, we did not implement any pipelining approach in this ALU. It is simply a non-pipeline normal ALU that what we knew already. Okay, so how many clock cycles that are needed to be taken for executing these 7 instructions? Let us see. In order to understand it, first of all, identify the operations that are needed to be performed by the ALU. In order to execute these 7 instructions, the ALU first needs to collect the operands. First, A, B, C must be collected by the ALU. This is the first step to execute the instruction. Next, identify which operation that is needed to be performed first. Then ALU is going to perform a multiplication. Then it has to perform a multiplication. And finally, it has to perform addition. Okay, so ALU for one instruction, it needs to perform these 3 operations. The first operation is collecting the operands, second operation is multiplication, the third operation is addition. Now let us understand that each of these operations will take 1 clock cycle each. Okay, so for one instruction, I require 3 clock cycles. Okay, in order to execute the first instruction operand must be collected. In the first instruction, there is a multiplication operation that is needed to be performed. And finally, the addition operation within the first instruction has to be performed. Finally, one instruction will get finished, which means that one instruction will take 3 clock cycles, right? 3 clock cycles. But hence 7 instructions will take 7 into 3 is equal to 21 clock cycles. So in order to execute these 7 instructions, a non-pipeline ALU requires 7 into 3 because each instruction requires 3 clock cycles. So 21 clock cycles are needed to execute these 7 instructions because each of the operations will take 1 clock cycle. We are considering that each of the operations will take 1 clock cycles. But in general, let us understand only for understanding purpose, I said that each of the operations will take 1 clock cycle each. But in reality, each of the operations will take different number of clock cycles. But to start with the pipelining, to make the things really simple, we are considering that each of the operations will take only 1 clock cycle. But let us, that ALU will take different number of clock cycles for multiplication and addition, because multiplication is a complex operation because repeatedly addition must be performed, and addition will take only 1 clock cycle. So it's only an assertion that each of the operations will take only 1 clock cycle, but in general, each of the operations will take different number of clock cycles. So a non-pipeline system will take 21 clock cycles. let us implement a pipeline. Let us design a pipeline. Okay, the pipeline with 3 stages. I'm going to design a pipeline with 3 stages in which each of these operations will separately be performed in a different stage. How? Well, let us have a look at. I will design it here. First, we need to collect the operands, right? I will write it here. First segment is collect operands, rather fetch the operands. Second segment is multiplication. And the third segment is addition. So we need to design a pipeline with these 3 segments. Let us understand. Okay. Here, I will take 2 registers initially. I will take 2 registers, R1 and R2. These registers will get the operands from A and B. Okay, so AI and BI. Once after the operands are collected, what is needed to be performed? R1 and R2 must get multiplied, right? So what I do is, I will use a multiplication segment. This is a multiplication segment in which multiplication will get performed. So output of R1 and output of R2 will get connected to the multiplication segment. Okay. After multiplication is performed, we have the product of A and B, right? Now, I do require one more register. Let us say here I am going to use one more register to collect the output of the multiplication segment. I will use R3. Okay. And here I'm going to use one more register called R4, which gets the value from C. Okay. So output of the multiplication segment will get collected and given to the R3, and output of the R3 segment in conjunction to R4 will get connected to addition segment. This is addition segment. The output of the addition segment is connected to something called R5. Okay. Once again, let me demonstrate this pipeline. Now we do have 3 segments. First segment is collecting the operands. We are collecting the operands in a local registers to the pipeline. Okay. And second segment is multiplication. The output of the multiplication is collected in one register. Finally, addition segment. The output of the addition segment is collected in R5. So this pipeline has 3 different segments. Okay. Now let us understand in what way this pipeline is going to reduce the number of clock cycles that are required to execute AI into BI plus CI. Let us take the first clock cycle. In the first clock cycle, R1 and R2 will get the values from A1 and B1. Got me? In the first clock cycle, R1 and R2 will get the values from A1 and B1. Okay. In the second clock cycle, R3 will get its first value, that is A1 into B1. That is, multiplication segment will take only one clock cycle, because you know that ALU requires hardly one clock cycle to perform any kind of an operation and send it back to the register. So here multiplication segment will take one clock cycle to perform the operation and will send it back to the register. So in the second clock cycle, R3 will have A1 into B1. Okay. At the same time, in the second clock cycle, R4 will get its first value from C1. Okay. Wait, hold on. In the second clock cycle, R1 and R2 are free. They will get A2 and B2, right? In the second clock cycle, R1 and R2 will get A2 into A2 and B2. Okay. Once again, in the second clock cycle, R3 has A1 into B1. R4 has C1. I'm talking about second clock cycle. In the same second clock cycle, as R1 and R2 are free, they will get the second values of A2 and B2. A and B, those are A2 and B2. Okay. Now in third clock cycle, go to the third clock cycle. In the third clock cycle, the first product is available in R5 because addition is going to be performed in between R3 and R4. What is R3? R3 is A1 into B1. R4 is C1. So finally, in the third clock cycle, R5's first value will be receiving. That is the first output of A1 into B1 plus C1. At the same time, in the third clock cycle, R3 will have A2 and B2. Okay. Same time, in the third clock cycle, R4 will have C2. In the third clock cycle, as these registers are also free, these will get, in the third clock cycle, these will get A3 and B3. Now you can understand. After the third clock cycle onwards, right from the third clock cycle onwards, for every next clock cycle, there will be a continuous output. Okay. So the total number of clock cycles that are required is just 9. Let us see here. Okay. Now it is properly given. See this R1 and R2. There is R4 and there is R3. What is needed to be performed? First, A and B must be supplied to R1 and R1. In the very first clock cycle, R1 and R2 will get A1 and B1. In the second clock cycle, R3 will get A1 into B1. Right? In the second clock cycle, R1 and R2 will get A2 and B2. Right? In the third clock cycle, R4 will get, in the second clock cycle, R4 will get C1. In the third clock cycle, R5 will give you the first output. That is A1 into B1 plus C1. In the third clock cycle, R3 will get A2 into B2. In the third clock cycle, R4 will get C2. In the third clock cycle, R1 and R2 will get A3 and B3. So you can clearly see right from the third clock cycle onwards, we will have a continuous output from the pipeline system. Okay. So we will take altogether 9 clock cycles, because how many clock cycles are wasted? In which only 2 clock cycles are wasted, right? For the first 2 clock cycle, no output. Right from the third clock cycle onwards, there is a continuous output. So how many instructions? 7. Each instruction will take 1 clock cycle plus 2 wasted clock cycles. Those are equal to a total of 9 clock cycles. If you can understand, right from the third clock cycle onwards, R5 will keep on giving you one output of the instruction is. Okay. So that is third clock cycle, I1. Fourth clock cycle, I2. That is instruction 2. Fifth clock cycle, instruction 3. Sixth clock cycle, instruction 4. Seventh clock cycle, instruction 5. Eighth clock cycle, instruction 6. Ninth clock cycle, instruction 7. How many clock cycles are taken? Total 9. Because in the first 2 clock cycle, there is no output. Right from the third clock cycle onwards, there is a continuous output, because each instruction execution we can see in 1 clock cycle. Okay, so the total number of clock cycles that are required is 2 wasted clock cycles plus 7, because a total of 7 instructions are there. 7 instructions plus 2 wasted clock cycles is equal to a total of 9 clock cycles we do require. Now understand throughput. Okay, what is throughput? We talk about a speed up. What is the difference of the speed up in a non-pipeline system and a pipeline system? How many clock cycles are required in a non-pipeline system? We know that 21 clock cycles are required in a non-pipeline system, because in a non-pipeline system, every instruction is taking 3 clock cycles. So total number of instruction is 7. 7 into 3 is equal to 21. But in a pipeline system, it's just 9 clock cycles, right? So 21 by 9 is equal to, if I'm not wrong, it will be 2.3 something. So we speeded up our pipeline, rather the speed up of the computer system is more than double, right? So throughput is drastically increased, dramatically increased. So this is what we're going to observe in a pipeline system. When you pipeline a system, the throughput will definitely be increased, because a corresponding non-pipeline system without a segmentization, it is going to consume as many clock cycles as it requires to execute one instruction. Second instruction it wants to enter into the system, it has to wait till the first instruction to finish. Then only the second instruction will enter, right? So for this reason, total 7 into 3 in a non-pipeline system, 9 we have already seen in a pipeline system. A total of 2.3% has been improved. The speed up is improved by a rate of 2.3. Okay, so this is what we can achieve out of a pipeline system. Okay, you can see here in a table, it is clearly given. In the first clock pulse, R1 and R2 will get A1 and B1. In second clock pulse, A1 into B1 will be available in R3. Okay, in the third clock cycle, C1 will get transferred to R4. In the second clock cycle, C1 will get transferred to R4. In the second clock cycle, R1 and R2 will get A2 and B2. Okay, in the third clock cycle, the first output, that is A1 into B1 plus C1, is available in R5. In the third clock cycle, R3 will get A2 into B2, R4 will get C2. Okay, so right from the third clock cycle onwards, there will be a continuous output. So the total number of clock cycles that are required to execute this instruction is 9. This T, you can see, these are 2 wasted clock cycles. That is no output. You can see no output in the pipeline. Plus, each and every instruction requires thereafter 1 clock cycle each. So 7 plus 2 wasted clock cycle is equal to 9. This is how the number of clock cycles are less in a pipeline system.